Jesus spoke about the outer darkness as a real place. A lot of people have been asking about this, and we are focusing this short presentation on that one topic. The question asked is, could you explain in detail the outer darkness? Most people do not think very deeply about the outer darkness mentioned in the Bible, even though it's mentioned many times. Jesus himself referenced the outer darkness as a real place. The Bible says, "But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Here, Jesus plainly states that people who rely on heritage for salvation will be sorely disappointed. This verse is not a parable. The Bible also says, "And think not to say within yourselves, We have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you, that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham." So what is the outer darkness? How did it originate? Why are we in it? God created the outer darkness on the first day of creation. The Bible says, "And God said, Let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day." This darkness is the outer darkness. God created a division between the light and the darkness. This passage in Genesis speaks about the light and the darkness. It focuses on the light because that's where God intends people to live. However, at the end of the first day, a place of glorious light existed, and a separate place of darkness existed. The outer darkness was not caused by shadows. No objects existed in the universe to block the light. No planets existed. At the end of the first day, God manifested himself with his glorious light. God dwelt in the glorious light. The outer darkness was caused by the lack of God's glory. God divided the light from the darkness. This great divide had a purpose. It was like a wall which quarantined the darkness. God never wanted the darkness to be a place where people lived, yet God built an isolation chamber, which we're calling the outer darkness. The outer darkness is like a jail of a city. It's not built for comfort. It's intended as a last resort for those who are dangerous to society and have no regard for the law. As a recap, at the end of the first day of creation, God created a place of glorious light and a smaller, isolated place of darkness. The earth, the sun, people, and angels had not yet been created. The outer darkness puts many things into proper perspective. The Bible says, "The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined." The Bible also says, "To open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house." The Bible also says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." The Bible also says, "For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into the chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment." All of these verses are mentioning the darkness, the outer darkness. They are mentioning a prison. They are mentioning prisoners. They are mentioning the prison house, the chains of darkness. This all all of these verses are in reference to the fact that angels were kicked out of heaven into the outer darkness, and that the outer darkness is their prison. That outer darkness is their chains of darkness. Later, when Adam sinned, Adam was also put into the outer darkness. And he and his descendants were the people that walked in darkness. They're in the land of the shadow of death because the earth and its sin-stained people are in the outer darkness. The Bible also says, "And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved into everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day." The Bible also says, "For Christ hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in the flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison." All the verses that we're quoting here describe the outer darkness as a prison in which demons and sin-stained people are kept until the day of judgment. God made the universe and he physically organized it. On the first day, God made a place of glorious light, a place of darkness. God then made heaven and the worlds. Earth was one of those worlds. All things created existed in the light of God's glory. The outer darkness was a place of isolation and quarantine. When Adam sinned, his world was engulfed in the outer darkness. Jesus sacrificed himself to give humanity a path back to the light. God's people should have their attention on the light of heaven. Satan's people will never enter that light. This presentation can only include a limited amount of detail, and there's much, much more that can be discussed. If you want to really drill down into the details of the outer darkness, get the book, Try the Spirits. It's a 408-page book which provides greater detail and answers many, many more questions. The book Try the Spirits is available at the website, biblesite.com. Praise Jesus.